Hey guys, this week's video is dedicated to all our brothers and sisters in the land of Israel. Can't wait to see a whole bunch of you tonight by First Friday. We started our new course, Decoding the Talmud. This week is the second class, not too late to join. Each one's a standalone class, yjprochester.com. This week's Torah portion of Parsha Vayera is another jam-packed Torah portion, and it ends with the famous episode of the binding of Isaac, when Hashem tells Abraham, take your son Isaac and bring him as a sacrifice. And Abraham doesn't flinch. And he goes, and at the last moment, Hashem stops him and says it was just a test, and you passed with flying colors. It's a very famous episode, and there's a lot written, so many questions and commentary on it. But one of the questions is, why does Abraham get all the credit for this? It was Isaac's life that was on the line, and he was 37 years old. He wasn't a youngster. And according to Rashi, he knew what was going on and went willingly. So why does Avram get all the credit? The test of Avram, the ultimate test of faith. It's important to understand who Avram was. Avram didn't come to his belief in God with, because blind faith. Avram was a skeptic, an independent thinker. He's somebody who went against all the thinking of the time to come to his belief in God. He's somebody who went through all the different gods and idols of the time in order to logically and reasonably believe in God. The Medrash says Avram was like a person who was walking through the forest and saw a huge lit up mansion and said, who's the master of this house? While many people might see the mansion and walk in and say, oh, let's stay here, let's eat here. Avram was like, wait, how did this mansion get here? And why? While many saw the world as chaos, Avram saw precision, detail, organization to everything. And he said there must be a creator to everything. There must be a master of this house. So up until the binding of Isaac, Abraham's relationship with God was through logic and reason. He built this ladder of rational thinking. And because of it, he was willing to put himself on the line and go out to the world to proclaim God's monotheistic religion to the world. And then in a moment, God pulled out that ladder from under him and said, I want you to take Isaac, the son I promised would be your future, and bring him as a sacrifice. There was no ladder of reasoning to that. Not just because Abraham hadn't reached it, because God was asking him the impossible. He wasn't asking him something logical. He was asking him that everything up until that point, everything he had thought, everything he had believed, and he had been proclaiming to the world up until that point, forget about it. Forget about it. And when he was willing to do that, when he came to the mountaintop and Hashem said, the challenge disappears. Now you understand that our relationship is beyond logic and reason. God is the creator of logic and reason. And he says our relationship is beyond anything you can understand. Logic and reason are important. But God is so much more than that and goes way beyond that. How often do we build our own towers of logic and reason? The smarter you are, the bigger the tower. But the problem is it's always precarious because it just takes somebody to poke a hole in the foundation. Somebody a little smarter to come with a good comeback. And your tower starts crumbling. You used to have all these YouTube videos of people who debate and it's like one-upsmanship. Who can come back with the better line? Our faith in God has to be built on a foundation that's not man-made. That's not based on logic and reason. It has to be with the creator who created logic and reason. That goes way beyond anything we can ever perceive, no matter how smart we are, no matter how high our tower and ladder is. And then we can build on top of that foundation. So that when we do go through life and we are faced with a challenge that seems impossible and irrational, and for a regular person would topple their tower, we still have our faith in God and we can still climb. And in that moment, the challenge in front of us disappears. Because it's about our connection to God, who created everything, including logic and reason. Shabbat Shalom.